Hello guys, right, got a bit of a different one on this video. It's actually a little bit of a rod repair. So make sure you like, subscribe and watch the video, and if you're in the same situation as me, I'm going to show you how to do it, and much cheaper as well. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you through the steps on this one, so you're going to want to watch the old video. Now, I got two rods. I did one last night. This one isn't too bad. Now what it is, as you can see, we got some chipping going off here where the matte lacquer has actually come away. Yeah, as you can see, it's gone all shiny, and it doesn't take a lot for it to come off. So we've got to remove this without damaging the rod. Once that is done, like I say, I've done one. It's still in curing time, so it's still drying. And this is where it's going to look like. So it was the same area. Now this was much worse. This was from top to bottom and underneath top to bottom as well. And as you can see, it's sorted. It's still a bit wet. Yeah, it's got the matte finish coming through, but underneath it's still a bit wet, as you can see. So we just need to give that one a little bit longer, and eventually it will all go matte, the exact same. And that is what we're going to talk you through, guys, and how to actually do it and how to get from start to finish, but without breaking the bank. Now, when you're doing this, you can go and buy a special kit called Flex Coat. Flex Coat itself, it's an epoxy, but with the epoxy, it's designed for re-whipping it. So when you're re-whipping it, what you're going to do, you're going to take all the old whipping off, you're going to re-whip it, and then you're going to put the Flex Coats on. We don't need to do that process. Yeah, so we don't really need the epoxy Flex Coat. So I'm doing it with something different, and it's obviously working. So I'm going to take you through to the next step now. Right, so before we get to the next stage, how has this damage happened in the first place? Right, it could be down to a few things. It could be the way you transport the rods. Now, I originally used to use tops and tails into a bag. Now, the thing is, when you tops and tails, you got your rings obviously coming parallel down with this blank, yeah? You're always going to turn, so that could be one, yeah? Debris from trees could be another one. Obviously, when we're underneath trees, debris falling down obviously hits it, generates a chip. That could cause it as well. Weather, yeah, because bear in mind, it is a paint. No paint lasts forever. It will always flake at some stage. So it could be the weather as well. Bear in mind, I'm out all year round, yeah? Hot, cold, no matter what. So that could also take a part of it as well. Birds, yeah? Birds landing on it, obviously with the sharp claws. They could get a little nick in there, and all it takes is a little pinprick hole. And as soon as that pinprick hole's there, the weather's going to get underneath it and it's going to start to lift. And that's obviously what's been happening. It's been starting to lift. Rub as well. So if you do like to put your alarms behind your butt ring, that could cause a big part of it, because that is where your whipping is. So if you're up here, down here somewhere, you don't generally have an issue because you haven't got all this lacquer down here. So you don't generally have an issue. But if you are one of these what likes to spread your pod that little bit more, or your sticks that little bit more, and put your alarm directly behind your butt ring, then that can do it as well. You'll get a lot more rub from the underneath, and then that will obviously start to do it as well. So all we're doing is pre-treating it, bringing it back to its originality. That's all we're doing, guys. So let's crack on with the next stage then. So your next stage is a very easy one. You want to be in control of the rod at all times, so you want it weightless. So there's obviously a reel on it. We need to remove it. That way we can turn the blank ever so easy, instead of the reel trying to spin it back down. Yeah, you need to be able to be in control of this rod. So take your reel off, get that out of the equation. Once you've got that away, the rod will spin freely on its own, and you need it to do this for a reason. Now, if you've got a big enough area, you could actually get a couple of cardboard boxes, cut some little V's in them. Yeah, so cardboard box over there, cardboard box over there. Cut some V's in it and rest that onto it, and then you're going to be able to turn it that way. We're not going to do it that way. We're just going to literally rest it on a leg and then prop it up on the sideboard, because I ain't got the room for the box situation in here. But if you have got the room, then that's an option for you. But all I need to do now is get sat down, get comfortable, be able to have this, so it's going to be able to turn around on its own, sort of thing, like this. Yeah, so I can get a full 360 on it, no problem at all. Right, so we're going to change the camera in a different location. You're not going to see my face now, and we're going to show you how we get the old lacquer off without peeling it with a nail, because you do want to get a little bit more off. Okay, you want to get all the bad stuff off. If you leave any loose on there whatsoever, you're going to end up repeating the process very, very quickly again. So we're going to take off as much damage as we can, and then obviously then we can start to treat it. So let's get this camera down here now. Right, so here we are. Here's the damaged area. As you can see, I've got a 360 motion actually on the rod. Yeah, I can turn this around very easily, etc. like that. So all we're going to do, we're going to get a Stanley blade. Yeah, mine's actually broken, snapped in half sort of thing, but it's still going to work. Now this is the part where you need to be very, very gentle. Okay, you want to be running the blade flatly over, and all you're doing, you're just scratching it off. You don't want to dig it in. If you dig it in, you've got a chance of cutting the wrapping and also the varnish what's underneath. All this is a top coat. This matte finish, it's a top coat, so I don't need to remove the stuff underneath. So it's just a matter of case, just literally keep working around with it. I'm in a bit of a funny angle, so let me get in a better angle so I can work with it, and it will just come off ever so easily. And just keep turning the rod at the same time. I don't know if you can see the flakes actually coming off the floor. We might end up going right down here. It all depends on how bad it actually is. And just keep working with it. It's a long process because you want to take your time. Yeah, don't rush this. I've got a big chunk off there. It doesn't look infected, but as you can see, a big piece come off there. Like I say, it didn't look infected, but it must have been. And this is all we're doing. Yeah, we're not scratching the blank underneath. Yeah, that is fine because we're running the blade sideways. If I'm digging it in at like a 45 or a 35 degree angle, we're going to damage the underneath. So we want to be literally partly sideways. Yeah, and just keep going round and round until you get these rough areas off. Now this itself is a little bit like the horrible disease, cancer. If you don't get rid of it all, it's going to keep on coming back and back and back. So this is why you need to take that little bit more off to what's actually there. So start off with the loose bits, what you can already see, and be very careful when you get up to this area. So all those little air bubbles what are underneath the lacquer, we're removing them. So I need to just put a bit more pressure on this one. Just lift that off like so. Keep your blade clean, just keep blowing it. All around here it's perfectly fine, but I've got a little bit more down here. I don't know if you can see that little spot there. That's another area what we need to work on. There's one there as well. I can see one there. Oh, that's much more than what it looks. Yeah, it was a tiny little pinprick hole, and now it's not. So obviously it has lifted it, so we need to work in this area as well. So this is all you're doing. I don't need to keep rolling the camera with this. Just keep it going until you're finished. Right, now as you can see, we've got a lot of shine on that. So it just goes to show it was a little tiny area up here and a tiny little one down here. Just goes to show how much was loose. Yeah, so what doesn't need to come off, I'm leaving on. So I've been all the way around with this now, and it doesn't like to come off very easy. Yeah, so unless I dig it in, which obviously I don't want to do because I don't want to cause damage to the rod, I don't need to do no more. So what we need to do now is give it a clean off. Yeah, now you could do this in numerous ways. You could actually get a wipe on it and wipe it off, but if you put a wipe on it, obviously you got to wait for it to dry, sort of thing. So all I'm going to use is just my hands, make sure I get all those loose bits of lacquer off me as well. Give it a little blow around, because I don't want any looseness to be falling onto the next stage what we're going to be doing, which is actually going to be putting the treatment on there. Right, so the bit you've been waiting for, what do we put onto it, yeah, without breaking the bank? This is all it is, just basically nail varnish, yeah. This one is, the brand is Elite 99, and it is just a matte top coat. That is all it is, yeah. Give it a little dabble. Yeah, it doesn't have a ball or anything in there, so it doesn't actually rattle around. And all you're going to do is be quite generous with it. So, you're just painting now, that's all you're doing. So we're going to go all the way across. You want to get some on the brush, but obviously you don't want to go too much light. And we're just going to paint it all the way over. And just be careful when you get to the edges, because you don't want it going all the way over the old blank. And just keep painting it on, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's like a self-leveling one, this one as well. So it's not too bad. So like I say, you want a bit on the brush, but you don't want to go obviously mental. We can come back to these areas in a moment anyway. I just want to go all the way around. So we need to turn the rod around a little bit. When you get to the matte finish, it's actually easier, because obviously you've got shine on shine sort of thing. So when you're on the shiny stuff, you can't really see where you are. But when you go to the matte finish, then you can. Yeah, so just give it a good double over. So we're now going on to the matte, so you'll actually see it going on better. We need a bit more because it's a little bit dry. Like I say, on the edges, we'll get to those in a moment. We'll give them a better area. Yeah, and just be quite rough with it at the moment, just to plaster it on there sort of thing. Some people always have the saying less is more. Yeah, on this, no, I want to put a good thick dabble of it on. Yeah, I don't know what that little brown spot is, but it can stay there. Probably a bit of dirt. In a moment, we'll even it off. So all I'm really doing, I am turning the rod with my hand, yeah, as you can see. But I do like to just be in a little bit more control and just turn it with my other hand as well sometimes. So what we're going to do now, we're going to work on the edges, the straight lines. This is where you want to pay really close attention. And when you're doing it, you do need to go over that a little bit more, so you know that you are getting the cure. Yeah, it's got that little bit of a barrier going on to the blank sort of thing. Right, so that's that side done, and then this side, I'll try and do it so you can see it. I only want a tiny bit, not a lot. I'm trying to hold the brush still and just roll the rod. Will give you a straighter line. Right, so now we've done that, we can put that down a moment. I'll just get the brush, actually, I need the brush. We'll just scrape some off, and we just want the brush now. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to give it straight lines up and down all the way. not working to the end. And this will just take any looseness off and even it out. A bit like when you're painting a wall, if you paint it left, right and centre, it looks horrible, but if you do it up and down, it looks much more professional doing it with a brush. But like I say, if you go up, down, left, right, diagonal, you can see it, but up and down, you don't. So now we're done that way, I'm just going to wipe any excess off the brush, and then I'll go repeat the process, but then the other way. And then just a couple of short strokes on this side, and then that is it. You can put your lid back on there. Still always keep that in a cool, dry place. Now when you're drying this, you don't want to be obviously having it with your ring facing upwards. Yeah, make sure once it's drying, your ring is facing downwards. This is your best part. This is the part you're mainly going to see. Your thicker part you want down where the actual eye is anyway. You can see that you can just work out the eye there. So you want it to be thicker on the fluid anyway. But this is the part what you're going to see. As you can see from the rod what I did, that was matte. Yeah, this is gloss. It dries matte, but it does take quite a bit of time. So if you're planning on fishing the very next day or the day after that, I'd say don't do this process. Get your fishing trip done. Once you know that you're not going for a week or something, then do it then. Yeah, because you do need to give it a good time of curing. But that is, in a nutshell, how to just retart up your rod again. And it will take it from obviously chipped up to no longer chipped up. Okay guys, so thank you for watching. Like, subscribe if you found this information useful. Give it a go instead of buying some new rods, all for the sake of a couple of quid. That's all it is. Thanks for watching.